administration in Iran had some pretty strong words about this conflict.
This is the most incompetent, incoherent war America has fought in the last 100 years, and that's saying a lot. This administration has no idea what they are doing. There's no viable war plan. They change their goals and their aims every single day. I have great sympathy for our soldiers and our military leaders. They are being given directions by a senile old man who is losing his mind. And so it's no surprise that this war is going horribly.
So, as strong as you could get, really, in those comments. But I just want to take the temperature down for a second, only to say that there's no question that the United States military is effectively carrying out its orders on the ground in Iran. The question that I think a lot of people have, and I believe Chris Murphy has, is do they have a plan for what comes next? That seems to be where we're at.
Right. Talking to a lot of people in the administration and giving them full credit for their theory of the case, I think what they're telling people is that when Donald Trump decides to stop, then the war stops. And if that's in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's up to Trump. He'll say when it's the right time, and then we'll stop, and the Iranians will stop. That's their theory. And to be fair to them, that may happen, okay? We can't say that won't happen. That's one scenario. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's the current plan if there is one. Donald Trump says stop, and everyone just stops and go back. Now, there's another scenario, which I think is more likely, which Chris Murphy seems to think is more likely, which is that the Iranians don't stop. That after we just bombed their cities, killed all these people, killed the Ayatollah, destroyed their, military and their navy, that they're still going to want to fight, okay? And then if they're fighting us, we got to fight them, because that's what a war is. Once you're in it, you're in it, okay? And I think that's going to happen. So, again, I think that's what we're facing, a total disconnect between what the White House thinks is going to happen and what's really going to happen.
I think there's a third scenario, which is that no matter what happens with Iran and the United States, that there will be some sort of long-term consequences that we may not see in the next few weeks or months or years, but may come some decades later, just as we saw in 1979 with the Iran hostage crisis, which happened because of 1953 when we overthrew their democratically elected government. And the same thing happened when we saw 9/11. That was because of the United States' involvement in the first Gulf War and had a long-term effect.
You're blaming the U.S.
I'm not blaming the United States. I'm saying that.
Sounds like
I'm saying that. Well, let me finish.
Sounds like
saying that when we take actions across the world, that there are consequences that we don't anticipate that can happen years later. And so we wonder why people are coming after us and attacking us, because we were attacking them.
What did the first World Trade Center bombing? What was the cause of that one?
I'm sorry?
What was the cause of the first World Trade Center bombing?
I think that's irrelevant to this moment. I think the point is
that's probably Gulf War number one, but
that's not the point.
We're getting away from the point.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just to be centrist here.
The whole point is that things can happen later
The
on.
basic concept of actions and consequences, and some actions having unintended consequences, I don't know that that's really debatable. I think that's a basic principle of foreign policy that we've seen play out time and time again.
And the consequences of countries all over the world.
So on that question, I mean, is it fair for people to ask, what are the unintended consequences of this particular major action that the United States has taken?
I just want to go back to 9/11 for a second. The idea that the United States had it coming
Never said that.
is
Never
insane.
said that. Don't put words in my mouth.
You did. You literally admitted it.
Never said that. Let's have a no conversation. Let's have a no conversation.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm not going to allow you to sit here and lie about what I just said.
We did something that caused it.
Scott, I don't even know why you're.
Okay, we're going to roll the tape later. And
Because the reason I know why you're doing this, because this allows you to deflect attention from the fact that your president, Donald Trump, has no idea what he's doing in Iran. He's caused the deaths of 7 U.S. service members, of 140, as I said, 170 school children,
You don't think Iran caused it?
140 injuries in this country of U.S. service members as well. We've got American citizens who are stranded in the Middle East.
You're talking about unintended consequences.
Let's
talk about the intended consequences, right? The message today from the Iranian regime is not different than it's actually ever been. It's we are going to fight the U.S. We are going to fight Israel. That was the message today. But that's been the message. That's the message.
That's exactly right.
That's the message
That's
for 40
exactly
years.
right, Joe.
So
we were just discussing in the last vlog whether or not they had been chastened in any way, and you just confirmed, just as you said there, they are saying the exact
cut me
same
off.
thing that they have been saying for 47 years.
They're saying
So
the
what has
same
changed?
thing they've been saying for 47 years. They're not going to stop. Your point was that they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop, but if they don't have the capacity to replenish their missiles, if they don't have the financing to finance their proxies throughout the region, then it doesn't matter what they say in their own country
who's
because they
paying
don't have
for
the
this?
ability to project outward.
Let me
That would be a
just-
success by any stretch of the imagination. If Iran is no longer allowed to play terrorist daddy across the Middle East, across the world, that's a successful outcome. I don't want to hear that wouldn't be a
Joe,
successful
do you
outcome.
think
It
that
would be a
Donald Trump is
successful outcome if
willing to
that's what
commit to
happened.
the amount of time and effort and blood and treasure that it's going to
Wait,
be
this is
necessary
a great question.
to commit to that outcome? Because I'm sure Lindsey Graham is willing to sacrifice American blood and treasure until we get to that outcome. If it takes months,
But don't
if
you-
it takes years. And is Donald Trump does he have the wherewithal and the stick-to-itiveness to keep this war going for years, considering what it's doing to the economy, to gas prices, to the Republicans' chances in the next election,
Don't you-
and all of the relationships that
Josh.
he has, and all the Board of Peace?
Josh.
The Board of Peace not looking so good right now, is it,
Josh,
Joe?
don't you-
Okay?
don't you
So
think
how
so?
is Donald Trump going to do his Board of Peace corruption
Josh.
if people won't
All
join
right,
the Board of
Scott.
Peace because he's
Scott, go ahead and respond.
Look,
There's consequences, lots of consequences.
reasonable outcome here, though. Don't you think it's entirely possible because of the way Iran has acted? You have Israel involved. You have all the other Arab states in the Gulf that they have attacked. They're very angry. Over time, these fanatics, of course, will have to be monitored and will have to be kept in check. We're not the only people in the world who want them kept that way. It strikes me that what has happened here is we're going to decimate their military. Whatever happens to their regime, they're going to be under constant surveillance and contact from Israel, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Europe, etc., etc., etc. Basically, they brought the whole world in on this and down on them.
The whole world.
And over time, they're not going to permit Iran to reconstitute.
Even the
It's a fair
Chinese
point
statement
that-
came out
since
today
you asked me the
criticizing them.
question, if I could just respond, because I think it is an important question, right? And I think the answer is actually very, very simple, is that what you're proposing is an endless military campaign against Iran.
No, endless
I let you
surveillance.
talk.
Endless surveillance.
You know, because if you're not going to replace the regime, then they're going to constantly rebuild and constantly rebuild. And we're going to have to constantly attack them. And so, yes, what you're proposing is essentially a lifetime of attacking Iran. Now, again, that's one way you could go. I don't think that's what Trump wants. I don't think that's what Trump is going to do. And you know what? Everybody knows Trump's not going to do that. So what he's going to do is he's going to get halfway there, and then he's going to change his mind, and then we're going to leave the regime intact. And by the way, all of those allies and Gulf partners, you know why they're not attacking Iran right now? Because they're pissed off at us because we started the war that they're getting attacked on without consulting them, without even bothering to consult them, okay?
Right.
And so building this international coalition to go after Iran would have been a lot easier if we had talked to our allies and partners before we launched the war instead of doing the complete
We
fast
gotta-
act.
The
we gotta
negotiations
leave
are
it there.
literally happening
We
in the
gotta
Gulf
leave it
states.
there. Coming
They're
up.
there.